G'day everybody and welcome back. It's the GameDay Squad Aussie Rule Show. We are here for round 4. I have got the entire crew here today. Firstly, Callum, how you going, big fella?
Good, mate. Not a good day for me fantasy-wise. Had a shocking week both on the field and then also with Port, so it was a bit rough to prep myself for this one, but it is nice to see Kerm smiling, and I think that makes up for everything on the weekend.
Yes. Look, I feel quite similar to yourself, but let's introduce our second person on the show. It's Kerm with his sons. Scarf on. Dude, I'm super pumped about this show. I knew as soon as I saw that game that this was going to be a good one. Mate, how are you going today? That's what I want to ask.
I am literally on cloud 9, and it is very rare that I get to pull this out and you guys don't have a scarf on as well, so I'm going to lap this up fully. I'll say one thing. Obviously, gamble responsibly, but if the Suns are $67, $31, $5, I don't care what they are, we are value for the premiership after that win. I tell you that much for free. So yes, go the Suns. I'm up and about. I'm keen for this show.
Let's do it then. Today, what we're going to be doing is looking at a player's performance from a fantasy perspective and give you other fantasy breakdowns to help you all get game day ready. So with that all being said, let's get right into it with Kerm's Pack of the Week.
Yep, so we're on to our favourite segment of the show because we get to bring you guys into it. The community, the Game Day Squad fantasy community, we get to bring you into the show, and it is the Pack of the Week. So we got this one here from Fiasco on Discord. You can see this on the screen now. This week's the criteria was Dynasty, and I chose this pack because look at that Diamond Jason Horne-Francis. He's had 2 quiet weeks, but we saw in round 1 just how damaging he can be for fantasy. And to go along with that, you've got Ruben Jinby, who's been killing it, pick 7 from the 2022 AFL draft, and obviously Tom Green in Platinum as well. And then just to top it all off, we got the scarf on, Touk Miller as well. So just an absolutely unreal pack. Keep sending them through, guys. We'll be in touch with Fiasco for his pack rewards, but keep sending them through on Discord, and we'll keep this show rolling on Pack of the Week for each show this week.
Callum, mate, you must love that pack, seeing that Jason Horne-Francis. Surely he's licking at the lips right now.
Yeah, and Lockie Jones too. Let's not sleep on Lockie Jones. No, I'm kidding. I don't want to do anything Port Adelaide. It's a great pack. Horne-Francis, I still believe in him. What's the criteria for next week's pack? I know we change it up every week.
Yep, so as I said, this week was Dynasty players. Next week on the show, it's going to be the oldest players. So we want to see the oldest players that you pack. Send them through our Discord. We'll find a winner, and we'll show you on the show next week.
Yeah, oldest players. Well, you know what? At least you'll be able to give back to them, Kerm. But let's get into our team review for our teams from round 3. So, Callum, I think you're going to start this one off, mate. Why don't you tell us, break it down? How'd you go last week, and what are you looking to do?
Not good. Is the summary. It started poorly on Thursday night when I got distracted and missed lockout, and I had to play, or I didn't have to play, but I played my Jack Steele, which, as you know, he's broken his collarbone, so he's not doing me anything, so that hurt. I did still score 1,980 points, which had me 85th overall for the round, but I did drop, of course, because the seasonal ranking, I'm down to 27th, so it did hurt. I was pretty happy with my forward line this week, though. Looking at it, Rosie, Dunkley, Cogs, you can see all had big scores there. So I was pretty happy with all of that. And Doherty carried my defense. But as we're going to get into in the hot seat a little bit later on, midfield I wasn't quite thrilled with. So I'm going to have a chat with someone there. But yeah, overall pretty disappointing week, but I can only have myself to blame.
Yeah, Jack Steele, keeping him in the midfield hurts. But, of course, I reckon you're ready to go for next week. And in all honesty, you didn't do too bad. You're not far off the mark from the top 10 anyway. But the competition's been elite this year. So let's get into my one. And like yourself, missed out on the top 10. There's some really good teams out there, clearly, because I think my team's okay. We'd put up 2,113 points for the week, as you can see there. But there seemed like just a couple of players for me had off weeks. They had some tough matchups throughout, so it was a little bit expected, but I didn't think it was going to be as bad as it was. I'll be honest with you, my team will not be the same next week. I've already thought about 2 substitutions, so let me take you through them. Firstly, it's Liam Ryan. He was put in my team by accident and then scored 100, so I thought maybe I'll keep him in because he showed a bit of something to me, but yeah, look, he unfortunately got injured throughout the derby on the weekend, so didn't get to put up many points at all, so that hurt. But my substitution will be a bronze Jeremy Cameron.
Nice.
And if you've looked at our TikTok on GameDay Squad, shout out to you. But I had a little piece about Jeremy Cameron and my thoughts on him moving forward. So, yeah, it should be no surprise if you saw that he is now going to be a part of my forward pack and be replacing Liam Ryan. Secondly, I have Caleb Daniel in my defenders. I am not too happy with his performance so far. I was a bit optimistic to start the season that he would be taking more kick-ins for the team. Just hasn't played out that way, so it's time to sub him out. I don't have a guaranteed person I'm putting in there. I'm on the fence. I have Jordan Ridley from the Essendon Bombers, who could get into that spot.
Ooh.
But to be honest with you, I need to go get myself a Nick Dacos. It hurts that every week I have to see everyone else have a Nick Dacos, and I don't, so some transfer market move.
Good luck trying to find him, though. Even if there was one available.
Oh, dude.
Yeah,
He is
good
an
luck.
absolute unicorn.
Good luck.
I know. Oh, dude, the demand is crazy right now for Nick Dacos, so I'm just going to pray, and you never know, maybe one falls into my lap. But Kerm, why don't you take away with your team, mate? How did you go this week?
So good. And again, the Suns got up, but the Kermies also got up as well. We scored 3,176 points to take out the champion competition in round 3.
Well,
yes, it is a big week. Big week. And overall, the team played very well. I don't have too many gripes with the team at all. There's some, we'll get into the hot seat later, but Angus Brayshaw, he sort of let me down. I had a lot of high hopes for him going into the season, and he hasn't lived up to them thus far. But apart from that, the rest of the team have played very, very well. So I haven't got much to gripe about. Angus Brayshaw might be out going into round 4. We'll see who might replace him. But yeah, roll on to next week. Hopefully we can back it up in round 4.
Wow. So two opposite ends of the ball.
And unfortunately for Kerm, being part of the GDS family, you don't get any prize money. You're exempt from all of that. So, condolences there. You definitely deserved first place. But yeah, missing out on that. Just for anyone who is wondering if Kerm is eligible for that, no, he is not. Same as myself and Tom if we ever finish in those positions as well. But awesome team, mate. Awesome team.
Love it.
Dude, cracker team. But let's move on with the show. Let's get into the next part. We're getting into the hot seat. And what we do here is you don't want players to be in the hot seat that are in your squad. We're going to analyse players' performance for the season so far and let you know why we've placed them here because they haven't been meeting expectations. Callum, you talked about your midfield. I want to know, that midfield looked pretty stacked. Who is the person you're having a go at this week? Who's in your hot seat?
This one's a tough one because you guys give me a lot of stick because I'm always calling everyone my boy. So I've got a family of boys in there, and Bailey Smith has been one of them forever. So this week I feel a bit, hard to put him on hot seat, but I'm putting him there. Now this is gonna be pretty harsh. Like you might think, he's averaging about 107 this season, so he's not doing terrible. But you did see there he was the weakest of my mids on the weekend. And his 82 points just wasn't good enough. Now, why we have such high hopes for this guy is last year he averaged 124 points, which was the 10th highest in the whole competition. And he hasn't really got close to looking like that form this season, which has been quite disappointing. So I just thought with the age, only being 22, with Dunkley clearing out, he was really going to get a lot more opportunity and really sort of be up there competing for the MVP honours at the end of the year. But he just hasn't been. So I still believe in him. I just don't know if I'm going to drop the axe on him for that Tigers game. Big game for the Dogs coming up this week. But he is on the hot seat, so hopefully we do get a response from him.
And just to touch on that quickly, Bevo is absolutely decimating Bulldogs midfielders. And the reason I say that is Bailey Smith had 5% CBAs in round 3. That is absolutely insane. And then you got the likes of Jack McRae, who only had 40%, which for him, you're expecting 80s, mid-80s even, CBA percentage. So Bevo needs to sort it out and figure out who's actually running through the midfield because the fantasy community is absolutely decimated right
next
now.
week.
Yeah, Bevo's going to be on the hot seat.
Facts, but who is running through that midfield? It's Libba. Libba's getting plenty of time in there, and I don't think many people were expecting that pre-season, that Libba was going to get the nod over Bailey Smith, but we'll see how the season plays out. But I might get into my hot seat nomination. Isaac Heaney, the forward for the Sydney Swans. Now, he isn't actually in my starting lineup, but he's in my bench currently, and there's a good reason he's in my bench. And let me take you through why. His averages for the season so far are 8 kicks a game, 3.7 handballs, 1 goal, 2.3 tackles. Now, that's already super underwhelming, just saying that. But what if I told you that all of those averages are lower than his 2022 season averages already? So it's looking like stock down right now. It's not looking good. What are your guys' thoughts on Isaac Heaney so far? Can he turn this around, or is his new role playing in the forward line just going to decimate his fantasy potential?
You cannot justify starting him at all. And you've seen the likes of Amadi roll forward. You got McDonald up forward. You've obviously got Buddy up forward still. It is just so populated in that forward line. There are so many targets. You wonder where the ball is going at any point in the game. And obviously with those numbers, those numbers are vomit worthy, genuinely disgusting from someone. The
Suns
likes
win
of
one
Isaac
game and look
Heaney,
at him.
who has proven to be a fantasy starter. I know, I'm up and about. I could talk now. But no, he cannot be started. He shouldn't be anywhere near anybody's team right now. It's an absolute.
It's a good one,
it's
Tom.
useless.
Yeah, what about you, Callum?
Yeah, so I kind of always had him as he's always a really solid sixth forward, fifth forward. That you always knew what you were getting. He wasn't ever going to get the hundreds, 120s average that Dunkley and Toronto would, but you'd always back him to be that 80 to 100, so you could rely on him, and you knew the Swans would be good and kick goals.
Yeah, exactly.
But he just hasn't been. So I still looking at his results, 75 and 94, and that's kind of the window I thought for round 1 and 2 he'd be anyway. So I'm still going to have a little bit of faith and just say round 3 was an absolute stinker for him. I'm backing him to bounce back. Although the thing about Game Day Squad is because you can make as many moves as you want, I'd be doing that with him on the bench. So like you've got at the moment. So I wouldn't be selling your Heaney stock yet, but I'd definitely be trying to move him out of your team if you've got other options.
Yeah, exactly right. But Kerm, why don't you take it away, mate? Who have you placed on the hot seat this week? Because after coming first, surely there's not too many people.
Yeah, no, it's a bit of a tough one for me, but I touched on it a little bit earlier on in the show, and it was Gus Brayshaw, who I thought going into the season was going to be an absolute set and forget top 3 defender that I wouldn't have to worry about at all. And it might be a little bit harsh like Cal's, because up until this point in the season, Gus Brayshaw is still averaging 103 GDS fantasy points. But for me, that doesn't warrant a starting position, set and forget position, in my squad at the moment. And when you got the likes of Will Day, Luke Ryan, Daniel Rioli scoring as well as they are in defense right now, you have to wonder whether it's worth playing someone as popular as Angus Brayshaw, as opposed to sticking in a point of difference player like your Will Days or your Daniel Riolis. So for me, he is on the hot seat. I'll have a strong think about whether I can keep him in for round 4. He's got a nice matchup against the Western Eagles, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes this week. I don't think
that's
I can
very
keep him in.
stiff. I know you've got a wealth of players to choose from, and your logic makes sense, right? You're talking set and forget, but he's still averaging over 100 points. So for a lot of people, he's still going to be in there and about. So if that's a quiet start for the year, yeah, like Heaney, I wouldn't be giving up on your Angus Brayshaw. So Cam, if you want to flick me one of yours, I'll happily take it off your hands.
The other thing that comes into it as well is his role. He hasn't been playing that midfield role that we saw at the back end of second half of last year. He's been playing that deep defender role, and he's not doing it. He's not even kicking in. So you have to wonder what his role is at the moment. But you are right; it is stiff. And if you do have Angus Brayshaw and he's playing that D2, D3 position for you, he is still worth keeping in to see how he goes and fares in the next few weeks. As I said, he's got the West Coast Eagles this week. But yeah, as for right now, if I had to pick someone, he would be my guy.
And I love that point about the kick-ins. And I think it just shows how much potential Angus Brayshaw could have moving forward in the season if they get Stephen May out of there. Why is Stephen May kicking in the ball over Angus Brayshaw? Surely he has a much better leg than the big fella. No offense to Stephen May, but Angus Brayshaw is elite. We've seen his skills and what he can do, inside the midfield, let alone when he has space out in front of him. So I'll be very surprised if they don't change that moving forward. But yeah, if it's already a 100-point average and he can get those kick-ins, my goodness, he's going to turn it on, like you said, Kerm.
Alrighty, guys, before we get into Tom's buy, sell, hold, Kerm, I don't know you've had enough of a chat about the Suns yet. I know you've been holding it in tears for the last couple of weeks, and you just are super happy. Is there anything else you want to say that you haven't said so far? And by the way, this isn't a stage thing coming out of the break here. I'm throwing you on the spot here, Kerm. Just talk. Just tell us how you feel, because I'm a little bit jealous of you this week.
I know. It's the biggest thing I want to touch on, and we spoke midweek offline about Ken Hinkley and his position at Port Adelaide, and I guess my 2 cents is there has been a lot of chat about Stewie Dew and his role at the club going forward, and I just want to say Stewie Dew is a fantastic coach. He does have the locker room. The guys, you can see in the likes of Noah Anderson, who actually hasn't been performing that well to this point in the season, Matty Rao, Charlie Ballard, we saw Will Power back. They love Stewie Dew and they want to play for Stewie Dew. And you can see the effort that they're putting out on the ground, actually like tangible effort that they're putting out, especially from the likes of the guys I mentioned, the younger guys that don't essentially have to prove themselves as much as they should. But Matty Rao making second, third, fourth, fifth efforts constantly through the middle of the ground. You got Will Power getting back with the flight after coming off like an insane injury. You know, they want to play. We just beat the Geelong Cats, by the way, who granted aren't in form but still are reigning premiers. The Suns are now premiership favourites. So yeah, my big takeaway from the game is have some faith in Stewie Dew, the community and the Suns fans as well, because I know people were calling for his head. Give him the season, see what he can do.
I love that. Must be nice having a senior coach you want. But anyway, move on, Tom. Over to you.
Callum wants to quickly move on from that discussion, and completely understandable, mate. So why don't we move on to the buy, sell, hold? So what I've done is I'm going to give you a buy, sell, hold scenario for 3 different players, and I just want your thoughts on it. So let's take it away. Harry Sheezel from North Melbourne. Jai Newcomb from Hawthorn. And Chad Warner from the Swans. Now, there's 2 people that we spoke a lot about in the preseason, and one that I don't think we ever mentioned his name. So I'm super excited to see where you sit on the fence with these 3 players. Callum, why don't you take it away first? Give me your thoughts on that.
Oh, that's a tough one. You've given me finally one that I've had to think. Kerm, do you have it ready to go? I need some extra time.
I can take it away. I'm going to buy Sheezel, his roll down back. As long as he keeps that roll down back, just put an emphasis on that. With Clarko as well, the sky's the absolute limit for Sheezel, so I'll buy him. I'm going to, despite his very, very poor start to the season, I'm going to hold Chad Warner because I think his ceiling is insane. And we know that James Rowbottom as well is struggling. Luke Parker's running a lot through the midfield, and I don't think he's going to hold that CBA percentage through the entire season, so I'm going to hold Chad Warner, which means I have to sell John Newcomb, which sucks because he is supremely talented, but I guess like Chad Warner, he's seen a little bit of regression in CBA percentage as well.
Oh, that is tough. Callum, have you thought about it yet? Have you had enough time? Can you hit me with your 3?
Yeah, but I don't love it. I don't love it because I really do like Jai Newcomb. And he's doing really well. For a Hawks team that hasn't been up and about, he's, averaging over 100 points. He's looked really good. He's someone I like. But I think you're crazy at the moment if you're even thinking about selling Sheezel. So he can't be there. And I agree with you, Kerm. The ceiling of Warner is just too high. So I'm loving what Sheezel's doing, but I'm going to hold just because we know he's, awesome start. I think he's leading the league in fantasy points at the moment. Double check that. He's killing it. He'd be up there with Oliver. If not, it'd be 1 or 2. But I'm going to buy Warner, hold Sheezel, and I'm going to sell Jai Newcomb and then go back and buy him.
Yeah. And go straight back to the transfer market and pick him up again. I love to see that. But I'm actually like-minded with you, Callum. I agree with you 3. Bang on there. Chad Warner, I just so think the potential, he's a superstar, right? And it's just not clicking right now and it's not happening right now, but I have full confidence and faith that it will. So it's just about being patient, keeping him there. And if people have lost faith, then now's the time to capitalize on that, you know? If they don't believe that Chad Warner is that guy, then I do. So let me go pick him up off you and send me some trade offers if you want as well. I'm more than happy. But why don't we get in to our last part of the show? It is Lock of the Round. Callum, take it away, big fella.
Yeah, so just to make my my weekend even worse, I picked LDU, as you guys know, who was a laid out, and you guys, despite my protest, you didn't let me submit another pick. You said it was locked in on the show, which I'm disappointed with. But Tom, I've actually jumped in, and I don't know if you've noticed there with the slide we can see on screen. I've added an asterisk to where I was 2 from 3, and I've put a little comment at the bottom underneath me because I've been stitched up here with LDU, and I want people to know I'm still 2 from 2, and I'm still ahead of you guys. So yeah, not great for me. But you guys, you had a pick, I believe, and you both missed it. What happened there?
Yeah, we did, and I'll be honest with you, Kerr missed his Dacos pick, which surely has to hurt. You can only play that one time in a year, and couldn't get the cookies. And me with Redmond, I doubled down on my fantasy team, had Redmond, and gosh, he did bad in both. So that was like the double stab in the back there.
I cannot believe Dacos didn't hit 122, by the way. Like,
So true.
you can only, I'm the man of the people. You can only keep me down for so long. But that Dacos pick is like just gut wrenching.
Yeah, as Tom said, you only get to play him once, and I'm choosing to play this week someone who has been red hot, and I hope his form continues, and it's Clayton Oliver. So at the moment, he's averaging 147. He actually is averaging more than Sheasel. I've just checked my notes before, and I have him down as number 1, which means Sheasel is number 2. And he's up against the West Coast Eagles this week, and as we know, they were just decimated with injuries throughout that game. So I think Oliver is going to have a big game, and I hope he hits 125 points and makes me go 3 for 3.
The Oliver card.
3, 4, 4, mate. It's unfortunate, but that's just how the cookie crumbles. And clearly, someone had a look at the notes before the show because he must have had a quick peep at who I was picking for Lock of the Round. And I've also gone with Clayton Oliver. I agree with Callum. I think this week, Clayton Oliver is going to eat, but I'm not playing it so safe. Give me 132 points. That's what I want from the big fella.
Oh, what have you got? 131 now.
Oh, please don't say that. Don't talk that into existence. 136.
Clayton Oliver. Clary back to back. And to close out the Lock of the Round. Hey?
What did you have him for? I'm assuming you went with Tom as well and picked Oliver?
No, but I kept the Melbourne Demons theme going in this week's Lock of the Round, and I went Brodie Grundy, and we've spoken many times on this show about what the Demons coming up against the West Coast Eagles, and I really like Brodie Grundy in this matchup against Williams. I only had him for 120. I'm really interested to see if Jinby goes to Oliver. I don't think he will, but if he does, that'll make it really interesting. But for my Lock of the Round, I've gone Brodie Grundy, 120 points against the Eagles.
It's above average. He's only averaging 103 at the moment. Just checked. Although a couple of them obviously with Gorn, but it's a big ask.
It is a big ask. But yeah, as we spoke about, West Coast Eagles, a bit of an injury crisis right now. Hopefully he can pull out.
I'll tell you what, there's going to be eyes on from us for that game. The Triple Demons picks this week.
That's insane.
We'll be watching that very closely, and hopefully Grundy can be tapping it straight to Oliver for a couple disposals so he can get my mark.
I've just seen here, I have 3 bronze Brodie Grundys. So first person to say on the Discord, I want a Brodie Grundy Callum, gets a free bronze Brodie Grundy. That is a mouthful. So there you go. Anyone listening here, just first person on the Discord, I will give it to you. You can give me some rubbish player back. We can do that in a trade because I definitely don't need 3 of him running around.
There you go.
Mate, you're too kind. And for that, may I please ask, leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new around here, and to get notifications for when the new shows are coming up, and the live streams that we have before every single Thursday night match. Guys, it's been a pleasure doing round 3 with you. I'm looking so forward to round 4. And yeah, is there anything you want to leave the listeners with today?
Just get game day ready.
You heard it there first. Get game day ready. We'll catch you in the next one.